He was born in a two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi, on a cold January morning in 1935. The world didn't know it yet, but something eternal had just arrived. His mother, Gladys, held him tight, her only surviving son after his twin brother was stillborn. That sense of loss would follow Elvis Aaron Presley all his life, like a shadow stitched to his soul. They were poor, dirt poor, but Gladys believed her boy was special. She said God had a purpose for him, and maybe she was right. As a child, Elvis was quiet, shy, a dreamer who sang hymns in church and stared at the stars, wondering where life would take him. He absorbed sounds like sunlight, gospel, blues, country, the raw pulse of the American South. He didn't know it then, but all those worlds were fusing inside him, waiting to explode into something the world had never heard before. In 1948, the Presleys moved to Memphis. It was a city of music and movement, where gospel choirs echoed through churches and the blues spilled out of Beale Street every night. Elvis wandered those streets, hypnotized by the rhythm of life. He was just another kid with a cheap guitar, but there was fire in his voice and something electric in his spirit. Then came 1953. 19 years old, hair slicked back, heart pounding, Elvis walked into Sun's studio with $4 in his pocket. He told Sam Phillips, "I sing all kinds." No one paid much attention until that night in 1954, when almost by accident, he started playing That's All Right. The sound that came out was raw, dangerous, alive. Rock and roll had been born, not invented, but unleashed. In that moment, the shy boy from Tupelo became the voice of a generation. Fame hit him like a hurricane. By 1956, Elvis was everywhere, on the radio, on television, in teenage hearts around the world. His hips shook, his lips curled, and America lost its mind. To some, he was the devil in a golden suit. To others, he was freedom itself. But to Elvis, it was just music, his way of expressing the things words couldn't hold. Behind the glitter, though, the boy who sang for his mother was still there, still searching. When she died in 1958, something broke inside him. He was in the army then, serving in Germany, trying to be normal. But Elvis Presley was never meant for normal. He came back to a world that had changed, and so had he. The 1960s were a blur of movies, songs, and staged smiles. Hollywood loved him, but the magic of the early years seemed trapped behind studio walls. He felt it slipping away, the fire, the danger, the truth. Then came 1968. The black leather, the sweat, the raw electricity of the '68 comeback special. It wasn't nostalgia, it was resurrection. For an hour, the king was alive again, burning with the same wild energy that had once terrified America. But fame is a hungry beast. It devours what it loves. In the 1970s, Las Vegas became his kingdom and his cage. Night after night, he performed for adoring crowds. Dressed in white jumpsuits, jeweled and shining like a myth. The voice was still there, rich and soulful. But behind the spotlight, Elvis was fading. The pills, the loneliness, the exhaustion, they were all taking pieces of him. The boy who once sang to the stars was now trapped under them. People loved the king, but few saw the man. He was gentle, kind, often lonely. He gave away cars to strangers, helped friends in silence, and sought peace in a world that never stopped watching. Yet the image of Elvis Presley, the legend, the icon, grew so large it swallowed the man whole. On August 16, 1977, the world stopped. News broke from Graceland. Elvis was gone. He was only 42. Fans collapsed in the streets, radios played Can't Help Falling in Love, and the world mourned as if a part of its soul had vanished. But legends don't die. They transform. They echo. Even now, decades later, Elvis Presley lives everywhere. In the twang of a guitar, in the scream of a crowd, in the spark that leaps between the sacred and the sinful. He broke every rule, united black and white music in a segregated America, and made the world dance to a rhythm born from pain, faith, and rebellion. He was the first modern superstar, the template for everything that came after. Every flash of charisma, every leather jacket, every stage light owes something to him. Elvis wasn't perfect. He was human, flawed, tender, proud, and scared. But that's why his story endures. Because beneath the rhinestones was a boy from Mississippi who believed that music could make you immortal. And in some way, it did. When you listen to his voice today, on an old vinyl, in a movie, on a late-night radio, you can still feel it. That pulse, that ache, that thing that can't be imitated or explained. It's the sound of hope, the sound of rebellion, the sound of a dreamer who reached for eternity and almost touched it. They called him the king of rock and roll, but kings rule only until their time is done. Legends, though, they never leave. Elvis Presley did. When you listen to his voice today, on an old vinyl, in a movie, on a late-night radio, you can still feel it. That pulse, that ache, that thing that can't be imitated or explained. It's the sound of hope, the sound of rebellion, the sound of a dreamer who reached for eternity and almost touched it. They called him the king of rock and roll, but kings rule only until their time is done. Legends, though, they never leave. Elvis Presley didn't just sing songs, he became the song, and as long as there are hearts that beat and voices that rise, the king will live on forever.